Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John North. John Becker is away. Hope you're having a great Sunday morning, and maybe you're going downtown this morning, perchance, because there's been so much going on this weekend. We want to talk about downtown and take you back to a time when some of you may remember when there was nothing there, especially after 5 o'clock. They rolled up the streets or what have you. And to help us talk about that is a man who's known downtown Knoxville intimately for the last 12 or 13 years. His name's Rick Emmett. He's the downtown coordinator, and he is retiring. So we got you just before you sort of stepped out the door. Rick, we welcome you.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
And also we've got our panelists who will be joining us in a discussion with Rick about downtown Knoxville and its evolution. And I'll introduce you to them right now. First, we've got Eddie Smith. Eddie is a former lawmaker, a Republican, and is now the, let me make sure I get the title right, with Child Help, the, Director of Organizational Advancement.
That's correct. Good morning, John.
Thank you, Eddie. We're glad you're here. Susan's away, I think, climbing pyramids or something. And then Don Bosch is sitting next to Eddie, and Don is an attorney and a Democrat here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Welcome to you both. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
I've been looking forward to this discussion for a long time. When I heard that you were going to retire, Rick, I said, oh, we really need to get Rick on because downtown has been so fascinating to watch as it has changed. I moved here in 1993, and man, was it different then. It was busy during the daytime because it's such a government center, but then at night and on the weekends, there was nothing here. You came along in 2011. I'm interested in hearing kind of what you have seen in the 12, 13 years, or you can go back farther than that if you want, because you worked for the city a long time. Sort of give us a sense of how the downtown's changed from your perspective.
When I started in 1992, I was in engineering. I always liked to walk downtown, even at lunch. And you know, there's a large lunch crowd downtown back in the day. There were several places to eat downtown. Always busy. Lunchbox, other places were very, very popular. But it was a pretty bad environment as far as walkability goes. The 100 block, for instance, you had Harold's down there, but the 100 block had a lot of disrepair. Sidewalks were terrible. Parking was terrible down there. Market Square, there's a restroom on Market Square, as I recall. There's a liquor store with bars on the windows, and you know, those kinds of things are off-putting to everybody. So it's been quite a change since then. And when I started under Bill Haslam working downtown in 2007, 2008, we'd started a little bit of a renaissance already by then. We had some TIF and Pilot, we had some residential development down there by then. We had Regal Cinema coming. Haslam, was able to get Mass General Store, Regal Cinema, folks like that down there. So we started to have a little bit of a renaissance, started doing some more renovation, streetscaping and things. And so it changed quite a lot through that period.
Renaissance is a good way to put it. And you've been the guy who's been sort of the liaison between, you're the city guy, and then you've been the liaison with like residents and downtown businesses. We want to hear from Don and Eddie. Don, let's start with you.
Well, Rick, thank you for what you've done. I've been one of those early dwellers of downtown, everything residential to work and restoring buildings and restoring my office building. If you had to think back during your time, or maybe even a little bit before, was there one particular moment, one particular catalyst that you knew downtown was going to make it? Because a lot of us, we go back out, you're talking about Old Market Square. I remember you had Perulis's, and then, Mahosty was cutting edge with Tomato Head down there, but that was about it, other than the old Watson's department store on its last legs. But if there was one catalyst, one development that really said, we're going to make it downtown, and it's going to be great and unique, can you put your finger on that?
I think it's more maybe events, Don. We had farmers markets started about 2007, 2008, and then we also had Sundown in the City, and a lot of folks.
Great event I was involved with. That's right.
And we had thousands of people coming down there and loving it.
That was just kind of a small idea that suddenly took off.
I remember one day when I think it was Bela Fleck, who happens to be here this weekend for Big Ears, when 14,000 people showed up on Market Square, and we realized that event had outgrown Market Square.
Yes, I remember
that's
that
a good day
because you couldn't even walk through Market Square. It was so crowded. And when I started realizing that, I thought, we've got something here. People want to come down here, and people were living downtown already, and more people were coming all the time. I was having lots of conversations with folks, looking for places downtown. We didn't have that many places to live downtown, frankly, but buildings began to get renovated, and as we all know, TIF and Pilot, had helped out a lot. the administrations, all the administrations were pretty big on trying to help development in that way.
And Rick, for our viewers, would you explain what a TIF and a pilot is? I know from doing development,
Yes.
but it's a fairly unique device to encourage and incentivize development. What are those programs?
They're basically tax incentives. You don't pay your property taxes for a period of years, and it can go into the development. It's basically what it is. It gives you a little extra. It's the but for when you go to a bank and you're trying to get a loan or some sort. If there's a gap, and there usually was a gap because these old buildings are hard to renovate, and if there's a gap in funding, the TIF or the pilot would cover that gap.
And that money was advanced by governmental authorities,
Yes.
sometimes or federal programs, certainly state and local, and then it was paid back on the back end through the taxes. That's how that works?
That's exactly how that works, yes. And eventually, and of course, we're over the TIF period now, and many of the projects that we're reaping the benefits of millions of dollars of property taxes now.
A lot of people, unfortunately, thought that was just tax money being
Yes.
given away, and it really was
Never.
quite the opposite. It was investment with return.
Yeah, we had so many buildings downtown that were in disrepair and had been that way for years because nobody could find the financing to develop them. So I mean, yeah, you can say that, but we wouldn't have any of the development we've got today had we not embraced those programs.
And Rick, let's go back, 1992 when you first came. I believe I can remember, of course, I was in middle school back then, so, showing Don's age a little bit here. But
Just Don.
That's right. John and I are months apart.
But I can remember when the Blue Jays, the stadium was right over there in the old city.
Bill Meyer.
Bill Meyer Stadium. But again, you went to Bill Meyer Stadium and left. You didn't stay downtown. And now here we are in 2023, getting ready to be 24. The stadium's coming back, but now we have a vibrant downtown where people want to be. Kind of talk about what you see looking ahead of just the future of the downtown area as the stadium gets ready to come to Knoxville.
Well, I think the stadium's going to affect downtown. I mean, you're going to have folks spread out more. I don't think we'll have the events we have on Market Square that we've had. We're already going to World's Fair Park with a lot of the events we've had, and it's already noticeable to me on Market Square. Market Square is cool. Still a lot of good things going on there, but I think you're going to see more of a spreading out of those kinds of event venues. The hope is that folks will come downtown and park and walk, and I think that will happen a lot. But I also think a lot of folks won't do that. I think a lot of folks are going to want to park near the venues, particularly baseball. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all develops going forward. Market Square, with the stage and everything there, has always been such a unique area, and there's a lot of folks have wanted it to be more. I guess have more tables and chairs and more.
Oh, there was a
like
silly
Germany
concept of putting a dome over it at one point.
Yeah, all these
if you
kinds of
remember.
things, and I don't know, if it's. I just like that Market Square is so eclectic. You never know what you're going to see down there. You don't know who's going to be down there doing whatever they're going to do. The buskers, all the various folks that come down there. It's just the people watching center of our region. I think if you really want to just have a place to sit down and watch folks.
Good people watching.
Good people watching, and I don't know that any other place is going to have that uniqueness. Baseball, I think it'll be more programmed down there. Market Square is just a place that you just can go and you don't know who's going to be there or what they're going to be doing when you're there.
We can talk more about that. I think this is a good time, though, for us to take a break and for you all to go get another cup of coffee or a refresher if you need. You're watching Inside Tennessee, and we'll be right back.